Hey guys, John here with 18 Inches Down, and today I wanted to get right into it and talk about power. A lot of guys like to talk about power, powering up their 4x4s, powering up their dirt bikes, powering up their computer. Why is that less powerful? Think about that. Think about what I just said. Some of you dudes that are in 4x and into muscle cars and all that, which is awesome. Love it. When I said powering up my computer, you may have chuckled a little bit. Why? I'm not a computer. Does that make me less than a man? I'm just saying. Sometimes we look at these things and we think something's less powerful because, after all, if they don't do something that I think is masculine or powerful, then it's not, right? And I wanted to talk in general, though, about dropping into your lasting power, your real power, the power boost that does not give out. You know, I talked to a lot of guys, especially over the years, about burnout, and in the spiritual world and in the natural, in the working world, the corporate world, especially at the corporate level. Man, I can tell you story after story, which I will on this podcast as we go and grow together. A lot of guys about burnout because they're operating from a first level power instead of a power that is foundational. And I'll explain. When you look at a car, for example, the newer cars, newer technology, you have, like, especially in the gas saver type of vehicles, the sedans or whatever, Prius. I said Prius. Didn't I say Prius? I said Prius. Don't hate on me because I said Prius. Okay, I've had a Prius. Oh, John, you didn't say the P word. You did not say the P word, the Prius word. Yes, I did. And very proud of it because I saved a whole lot of gas where somebody may not have in their big 4x4, which is fine. If you have the money to do it, then wear that bad boy. Go to that gas station, fill it up, put the $200 in your tank. And if you're a Prius guy, wear that sucker proudly and put the $30 in your tank and go twice as far. That's good. It's all good. It's all good. But on the Prius, for example, since we're bringing up the P word, it has an eco mode, and then it has a power mode. I want you to look at this a little differently now when we're talking about the power within us. Look at this metaphorically. Eco sounds a lot like ego, doesn't it? Sort of sounds like ego. Has three letters, ECO or EGO. ECO, edging consciousness out. EGO, edging God out. Similar. And let me explain. You have the eco mode in the Prius, and then you have the power mode. What happens when you drive in eco mode? Well, you have the little the 1.9 liter motor or whatever it is, somewhere under 2.0, 4-cylinder, 4-banger, and it's just going wee down the highway, right? It's just working its little butt off trying to get up a hill. But then you click on this little power button and something happens. It gives it a little kick in the pants. It gives it a boost. And then you feel this, as much as it can give as far as a battery is concerned. What happens is the battery helps assist, and then it goes into another level. Without getting into all the mechanics listening, you're the mechanic, I'm not. That's essentially what happens. The battery assists, and it gives the car the little wing dinger of a little motor. It gives it some assist so that you can move along a little quicker, especially when you're going on an on-ramp and you're trying to get into LA traffic. Okay, you need a whole lot of boost getting onto the freeway when everybody's screaming by you at 90, 95 miles an hour. Just saying. So this is what our lives are like. You've got the eco. It's edging the full consciousness of the car out by design, and it's mechanical. But this is often what we do is we let ego in our own lives. We let ego run the car of our lives, run our lives. And without even realizing it, we have this underlying power called consciousness. And it's the power button that's the real authentic you and I. It's our spirit. That's called consciousness. And that's in the here and the now. So what happens when I'm driving the Prius or any car? Okay, let's just say there's an electric Tesla. Okay, Tesla has different modes. So you put it into sport mode. Boom, you rocket down the freeway. Okay, but if you don't know what that button's for, then you might just be staring at it going, well, I don't know. I'm scared to touch it, or I don't know what it's for, so I'm going to leave it alone. I'm doing just fine going wee down the highway, right? You're in eco mode, and that's fine too, if that's what you want to do. But there is more power to assist you when you need it the most. See, what happens is that we walk through life plowing through whatever we plow through, and we don't realize what's running our show. We don't really realize what's running our life. And that is, most of the time, it's the ego that's been conditioned to run in a certain level of power. And it does have power. Oh, yeah. You see it in presidential situations. You see it in the corporate world a lot. You see it in the business world. You see it in your own family. Okay? We see it all around us, how ego is leading the show. Depending on the strength of that conditioning is dependent on how egotistical someone is. So in other words, the more I've been conditioned to ride in that power mode alone with no button applied, is to the degree I've been conditioned or programmed to believe that that's all there is. See, that's called being asleep. It's called being unconscious. It's called being blind. And when we're consciously blind to the here and the now, and there's a power underneath of that one level, then we're going to keep being frustrated. We're going to keep sweating it out. We're going to keep doing the hard work and doing the same old looping routines in our life. We'll keep doing the same habits over and over again. It's like I had somebody that was close to me not too long ago asked me the question, say, you're an alcoholic, which I'm not, but alcoholics think that you're always an alcoholic all of your life, and that's just not true. It's an illusion of the ego, and it's the system that we've built that says you once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. It's not true. Those of you that have awakened and have risen in your vibration or your power into this other power bank that's really you, and the blinders have come off, you realize that, wait a minute, that was an illusion that I was buying into and forming the habits through my misalignment. And so that misalignment is what drove me to those addictions, like the porn for some guys, a lot of guys and women, or it's the alcohol, or it's the drugs, or it's the video games, whatever it is. So I had this person that's I really care about come to me and ask me, say, well, you're an alcoholic. How do you get over this thing? Because I'm tired of this. I'm an alcoholic. It's in the family line. It's in the genes. It's in the blood, which is another misnomer. It's another illusionary thing. And the genes only go so far. Guys, we are not our genes. We're not. The real us is indestructible, and it doesn't come from the genos. It doesn't come from that arena. It was infused before we hit our mother's womb. We were knit together inside the mother's womb, but we already agreed to something before we landed here. But that's a whole nother message. So when we start waking up, then we realize that, wait a minute, I can't blame someone else. I have to look at my own life. And what drove me to that habit? Was it the eco mode or the ego mode? That I didn't even have a clue that there was something else that I could tap into, that I could actually live out of. Not only tap into, but allow to drive the car all the time on power mode. See, the power mode is something amazing, because once you discover that power button, and just talking about a car or talking about your life, once you discover that it's there, you don't want to take the power button off. Why? It saves a little gas in the car. Who cares? It's Prius, right? The point is it gets you up hills faster, it gets you on the freeway faster, and it gives you the boost that you need to get around town, especially if you're doing something like Uber, or you're, just need to get through traffic or not get crushed. by a 4x4 on the LA freeway because you're going down the highway at your 1.9 liter. So once you discover that you have a power button inside of you and it's just a matter of switching that dial, it's a matter of pushing the button on once you discover and know how to do this. It's as easy as a childlike thing. It's as easy as what a child could do by pushing a button on a toy. You know that you're a big toy in a grown man's body, but it's big boy toys, right? You're a mature man, it's big boy toys. And when you push the power button on, everybody benefits, because then you go into the real you and you realize that, whoa, there's been a little wounded child running my egoic show. It's been a little boy that's been wounded. And now I'm no longer playing with the little boy toys. I'm playing with the big boy toys. And so I need to act like it and believe it and move into it. Once you switch gears and realize that that's there, your own authenticity, then you don't want to go back. You never want to go back, because once you know and realize and you're comfortable in your own, quote, conscious skin, then why go back to something that's an illusion that was leading your life? See, we're talking about lasting power here, guys. This is real, lasting, raw, real, genuine power that we all have. So how do you do this? It's not a fix-it scheme. It's not a multi-step, 12-step program. This is not I have to go get a degree to figure this out, or, go to the next guru's class here, unless I'm led to do that. It's about simply realizing that it exists and then allowing yourself to feel authentic first, allowing yourself to feel the power of the authenticity by going in and saying, look, I like Priuses, or I like Teslas. I don't care what anybody else thinks. They serve their purpose. I also like 4x4s. I also like muscle cars. I also like exotic cars a lot. Nothing wrong with any of that. But see, when you're not in your genuineness, when you're not in your own authenticity and you're in your ego, you would never say, as a masculine man in your 3D egoic self, you would be too embarrassed to say, I like Priuses, even though the real you may like them. Now, you may not. I'm just making a point here, guys. It's the same thing. Well, I made this analogy on another podcast about sensitivity and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, playing with tea, having a tea party with his little girls on the floor in front of the whole world, in front of millions of people. Now, if you don't have a sense of who you are and knowing that you have this real conscious reality, you're the real genuine you in your spirit, and you're not allowing it to come forth, which Rock seems to be awakening in that area more and more by going into, hey, this is what I like, guys. If you don't like it, that's okay. You like what you like. Here's what I like, because it's true to my nature. It's true to who I am. I'm not playing the cookie cutter egoic role anymore. And see, we're waking up. Consciousness is here, and it's coming more and more in full force to help assist us, like the power button, to help assist us collectively, because we are all one. And it's waking us up into the true, genuine us. See, the layers of inauthenticity are coming off. The layers of fakery, the layers of copycatting, the layers of choosing a different reality that's really a character that you don't want to play anymore. We're waking up out of all of that. It's just collectively happening because God can't help himself anymore. He's just saying, look, I'm going to help you. I'm going to assist you. So I'm causing you to think things that you never thought before. And it's not a making you, it's just an awareness that bubbles up and you're like, ooh, I never thought of that before. Here it is. I can't tell you how many rooms I've stood in, or campsites, because, grew up kind of in the Northwest, and then Hawaii, spent the last 20 years in and out of Hawaii, and then the Northwest. I can tell you that there's a lot of campsites everywhere in both places. And, guys sit around at campfires and talk guy talk. And what's interesting about this is that depending on the generation, you can see either a bunch of dudes will sit around and just grunt, and you hear another bottle cap pop, if you know what I'm saying, and then another bite of steak, and then another generation. I'm just generalizing here, guys. Okay, there's some really awake older people and younger people, but in generally speaking, is you have the younger generation that's like, hey man, let's go deep. Let's talk about the deeper things. And some older guys want to go there too. So you see this mix. What is amazing to see now, and this is why you have to see what's below the surface on the surface when you walk into an establishment like Starbucks, for example. They took on and adopted this hiring policy that says we want to hire older and younger and have the blend so that they can learn from one another. I think it's genius. Now, some people may not like that, and that's okay. You're okay to feel that way. But I think it's genius in the fact that, wait a minute, we're now coming together in the generations to learn something that the ones that are more awakened, whether older or younger, can benefit and give and allow to be modeled to the others that are still asleep. And this is happening collectively worldwide. Why do you think Starbucks is so big? And Starbucks is just one company that's doing this. Many others. But we're seeing this happen for a reason. It's not just by osmosis. This is by design. This is happening all over. And so when you you zoom out to the 30,000 foot level, so to speak, in the consciousness, and you see this and you go, whoa, this is happening. This is happening for a reason. We're learning from the genius of the younger, and we're learning from the experience and the wisdom of the older. And when you bring them together, you have this sense of, wow, okay, let's explore consciousness together. Let's explore what this means to ascend past the 3D. It's no longer spooky. It's no longer woo, 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 woo. It's no longer wing dinger. You know what I mean? Wow, this is amazing. We get to talk about these things. So I see a future of a lot of campfires. We sit around talking about these things and actually enjoying it without feeling embarrassed or humiliated because our ego is running the eco mode of the show, right? And so I want you to chew on that and think about this for a little bit, because there's so many stubborn people, whether it's young or old, that don't want to listen to another generation. And why do we separate generations anyway? This is the Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen X. I mean, this is all segregation and separation. That's an illusion anyway. We're all one. Why can't we just say one generation, one gen? I'm a part of one gen. And then when we realize that we are more so, then we start to dissipate and integrate that egoic side of things so that we can move into the real authentic us by genuinely sharing from the heart. It's kind of like somebody that's afraid to ask, especially men are just prone to this. Walk into an auto parts store, and you don't want to look stupid, or Home Depot or some other place in your country. And you don't want to look stupid, so you don't want to ask the questions or asking for directions, right? Thank God we have GPS now, so they don't look so stupid. And why would we look stupid anyway? That's the question. Only to the ego, by asking for directions. So we're not burning gas and then making our wives or the people in the car frustrated, right? Because we're late for the play. We're late for the dinner, whatever. So it's kind of like asking and then you don't want to ask. See, these conversations that are coming up now and will be more and more so in the future will be like, I'm not afraid to ask. I'm not afraid to go there because nobody's going to ridicule me, because they're awake enough past the ego mode. They're awake enough to answer me out of genuine care and concern and love and value. So they're going to answer. See, that's what this podcast is about. I've come to this point where I've been so humiliated and humbled in that egoic side of things, and still waking up, guys, still waking up myself. But it just doesn't matter anymore, because I want to live my truth. I want to live the authentic nature. It doesn't matter what the cost, because if it can help one person, one of you that's listening to this or watching this, one of you to say, maybe he's got something there. Maybe there's truth to that. I've been in ego mode all my life, and I didn't realize, or I didn't want to push the power button on the real me because of money, because of excuses, because of the kids still in the house, or when I get the bills paid off, or when I feel like it, when, yeah, I'll get in shape one day. Oh, I'll change one day, but I got to pay the bills, bro. I got to pay the bills, man. See, that's all ego. That's all ego mode. When we throw our hands in the air and relax and release, that's the beginning of moving into the power mode of your own authenticity. And then things start bubbling up: ideas, suggestions, leadings, drawings, promptings, movement on the inside. Because you're like, ooh, I started to feel that powering up there. What was that? Well, that was you dropping in. That was you dropping in by throwing your paddles up, your two hands, paddles up in the air, like I just don't care. And then it starts bubbling up. It's the power that lasts. It's the power underneath the power. All right, guys. Hope that helped. And just remember, beneath beneath eco mode, there's an assisting power that we have no idea what it can actually empower and embolden in our lives until we relax and release and discover that power button. All right. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.